How are we doing today, everybody? I just wanted to do a video on the men's Rolex Datejust watch. Was in the market for buying a Rolex for about 2 months. Saw a lot of issues, particularly on eBay. Just wanted to bring those to people's attention, just so when they're purchasing a watch, it might make it a little bit easier for them. This happens to be a reference number 16013, and it's a 89 serial number, so late 80s. It's still going to have the domed acrylic crystal on there. If you get to the 16233, the 90s models, you're going to have the sapphire crystal and a little bit different of a mechanism. But I wanted to do this video just because I saw a lot of issues on eBay with aftermarket parts. Some places weren't advertising it. I could see it clearly from the picture. Some people were advertising it. I actually bought a 16233 T serial number, which would have been to 1996. And I got the watch, and the minute I got it out of the box, it felt very, very, very light. It caused a red flag immediately after I got out of the box. The watch looked pristine. It looked beautiful. The thing about it was it just felt too light. So I picked the watch up and put it on my wrist, and it just didn't feel right. So I took it to the secondhand Rolex dealer that's in my neighborhood, and they indeed said that, yeah, the clasp is original, the head is original, everything, the mechanism, everything was good. The band was an aftermarket 18 karat two-tone Italian band. And that's why it had such significant hollow links, and that's what declined the weight so much. So the first thing I like to do is basically just get a feel for the watch. Get this hang tag out of here. Of course, you know, the seller that I bought this from actually had it listed as 100% original. They had 100% feedback with over 2,000 sales. So initially, when I first got it, I waited a few days before I took it to the store to get it checked out and have them call the serial numbers and everything and check it out. It just felt very light. This watch feels very sound. I happened to get this one a couple weeks afterwards. Very happy with it. Great price. Saved a lot by going with an 80s with the sapphire. With the acrylic crystal versus the sapphire. But just get a good feel for the watch, because the clasp on that watch was original and the head was original. So even the stampings were right on that band, or the Italian band. It just wasn't made through Rolex. Now, if you're someone who isn't going to resell the watch, that's probably not going to be an issue. If you plan on keeping it and you want to save some money, that's definitely something you don't have to really, it's going to look good. Only you'll know. So, I mean, if you don't plan on reselling it, going with aftermarket parts isn't always a bad thing. I just kind of would like to keep the watch 100% original. And with that being said, I even mean the dial. A lot of sellers on there, when you really zoomed in on the picture, you could see that they actually had refinished dials. And what refinishing is they basically take a sand and a polish to parts of imperfections. Maybe the minutes markers are pitted, and they basically fix those. It's hard to see them with the naked eye most of the time. If someone did it good, you won't be able to see it. But you can take just a cheap 10x jeweler's loupe, and usually you can see those things. And if someone's listing the watch as 100% original, in a way they're cheating you, because it's not original once that face has been refinished. And I like to keep the watch as original as possible. So that's something you want to check out. When you're looking at the face for imperfections, I also look for imperfections in the minutes markers as well as the Rolex, the writing. If you see any glue or anything, that's probably a good sign that either A, you have a replica, or B, you have an aftermarket dial. Now, with an aftermarket dial, it doesn't mean your watch is not authentic, but it does mean your watch is not 100% original. And like I said, if someone's listing as an original watch, they're kind of fraudulently telling you so, because it's no longer 100% original once another company's dial is put into the watch. Next thing we can look at on the dial as well as the crystal is the Cyclops, which is this magnification view right here. As you can see, the 22 nearly fills up the entire bubble, or the magnification Cyclops. that's a good indication that you have the authentic crystal. Um, the replicas tend to only magnify that at like 1x. So the date is still very, very small. And a lot of times the date will be off centered. Now, obviously, when you turn the watch, it's not going to be completely centered, but it's centered when you're looking at it straight forward. Um, the next thing you want to check out on this is the sweeping of the seconds hand. As you can see, this is very, very, very smooth. This watch actually came with all the service that was done through Rolex, as well as the polishing that was done through Rolex. Although it is an 80s model, it's still running good and keeping great time. So for me, if I have all that documentation showing that the watch was serviced directly through Rolex, this watch is up to Rolex standards, which is a good thing. There's actually a certain amount of beats per second that this mechanism is actually doing. If you put your ear up to the watch, I might even be able to get. I can't really get it to. You probably won't be able to hear it on the video, but there is a certain amount of beats per second. It's not just tick 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 like a quartz movement. A lot of the replicas will put a quartz movement in there, and you'll see it by the second hand right away. The next thing is a lot of them are actually putting the automatic movements in there. So it's good to have a watchmaker be able to open the watch up to inspect the mechanism to make sure it isn't indeed the correct mechanism. You don't want an outside case that's authentic with an authentic band. All the stampings and everything are authentic with a replica or aftermarket mechanism. Degrades the value significant, and Rolex will not touch it. Pretty much considered junk in my opinion. There's a good guy on Instagram. I give him a shout out. His name is Fake Watchbuster. I've learned a lot about multiple different watches. I have been burnt in the past through actual jewelers. Um, I wouldn't even say jewelry stores, eBay jewelry stores. I've been burnt before. Well, I found out months and months after that the watch had aftermarket parts on it. There was different parts in the mechanism. Never a completely replica watch, but just a watch that was not original. And when you get into the solid gold watches and stuff where you're spending a lot of money on, you really want the watch to be what the watch is listed as. So I highly recommend to go get it checked out right away. I tried to just use my judgment on some of those watches and it failed me. So, lost a decent amount of money on those. But, you learn from your mistakes, and that's why I'm making some of these videos and giving some of these recommendations to check out. Fake Watch Busta on Instagram. Great guy. He makes many, many, many different, I call them busts on certain people, celebrities, jewelers. He will literally call them out. People that are posing that have legitimate watches. I mean, hey, yeah, I want a solid gold presidential masterpiece with diamonds, but I can't afford that. So I get an 80s Datejust. That's just what you do. Instead, a lot of these people are either they're getting a fake watch or they're actually getting ripped off by the jeweler, which is also the case oftentimes. Some of these replicas are so good now that they're putting real diamonds actually in these replica watches, so they're encrusted with real diamonds. I mean, you'll have $5, $6, $7,000 worth of diamonds in these things, and the mechanism, the gold, everything is junk. So it's just, I'm just trying to get everybody to be very, very. A lot of people just get on eBay and buy something and never get it checked out, and then you'll find 2 years down the road when you try to sell it that you got a piece of junk. So with that being said, there's always going to be certain stampings, and each model is going to be different. So I really don't want to go into the stampings. You can look up on certain watch websites the stampings that are supposed to be on the specific watch that you happen to have. A lot of the Rolexes will have the reference number below the 6 once you take the band off. It'll be actually engraved in the case. And certain ones will have the serial on the 12 or the crown side. Just depends on the model. They change, and so it's something you want to also basically it's just doing a good amount of referencing before purchasing your watch. You don't want to spend a good deal of money and get ripped off. A lot of the companies are, I got a little bit of a scratch right there. Oh, actually, it's just a fingerprint. Um, a lot of these companies are doing horrible refinish jobs. They're also um, adding 10 karat gold filled bands or 14 karat gold filled bands, or they're actually not even legitimately gold, like it's just like a gold tone. So it's something definitely to check out. I mean, you can have, there's probably about $300 worth of gold in this band. So not a whole lot of gold, maybe four if I'm lucky. Um, but the name that, Rolex on it and it's original, it makes it significantly more expensive. So basically, one of those aftermarket bands is pretty much just scrap, in my opinion. 200-300 bucks. It's not really worth anything. So just keep that in mind when purchasing a Rolex. And it's always good to have your documentation. You got your Rolex cloth. Like this box, for instance, is for this specific model. Uh, who knows if it actually went to this specific watch? I mean, it's good to have it. It's good to keep it. This right here actually is one of the cards. This is the model number, but I mean the reference number, but it's a different serial. So long as you've had it checked, with your proper paperwork and everything, you should be good. But just do take your time. Don't rush out and buy something without checking into it, and make sure if you are buying on eBay, they do have some sort of return policy, because you don't want to be stuck with a replica or stuck with multiple different aftermarket parts. Just inspect the overall watch for craftsmanship. That's when you can really tell. I mean, if it looks cheap and looks like it's been had a poor job, then it's probably either aftermarket or a replica. So just use your gut instinct. Yeah, definitely check out Fake Watch Buster on Instagram. He's great for looking at multiple different watches, not just Rolexes. I mean, he's got Audemars on there, Hublots, multiple different watches. It really, really, you can kind of see things that you would normally never pick up on a replica or a fake watch, and he points them out, and then he busts them, point blank tags them on Instagram. So a pretty cool website. It's a good reference. You can also, I'm sure he'd respond if you sent him a picture of a watch and asked him if he thought it was authentic. It's probably a good backup plan before you purchase something. Leave him plenty of time though. I'm sure he's bombarded with multiple emails a day. Starting to get a lot of shout outs through celebrities and different rappers are actually even making songs about him. So it's a good thing because a lot of these jewelers have been making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars off of cheap replica parts. So just keep that in mind, and if you can always add something in the comments. And like I said, this is things that I use. For me, correct me on any of these things that are wrong. I'm always willing to learn. I'm not a Rolex expert by any means, but I have dealt with multiple Rolexes, just to learn a little bit more about them. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more videos on maybe the Submariner, ladies date just, probably do the Explorer, probably do the date. I'm sorry, the day date. Probably gonna do multiple models, so just keep in tune for my videos. I'm gonna try to keep up to date, and maybe I'll do some busting of some eBay sellers if I catch anybody. Have a great day.